For a while, it almost felt like things were getting better. The bullying stopped after the incident with Max, and Sophie started to find her footing. She wasn't exactly popular, but she wasn't a target anymore. The other students, terrified of the fierce German shepherd and perhaps sensing the steel beneath her quietness, kept their distance, and for Elena, something unexpected began to grow, something fragile, dangerous, and impossible to ignore. Her connection with Michael Grant deepened in ways she hadn't allowed herself to feel in years. They shared long conversations over coffee, slow walks through the fading colors of autumn, and smiles that reached their eyes. He was gentle, patient, and attentive in a way her ex-husband had never been. Where once she had felt only fear and heartbreak, she began to feel the soft stirrings of something she thought was long dead: hope. One cold evening, as the town's Halloween festival lit up the streets with golden lights, Michael offered her his arm as they strolled among the carved pumpkins and laughter of children. His fingertips brushed hers, and Elena felt her heart race in a way she hadn't since she was young. "I like this," she whispered, her breath fogging in the chilly air. "Me too," he murmured back, his eyes searching hers. They didn't kiss that night, but the way they looked at each other, it said everything words couldn't. For the first time since fleeing her old life, Elena started to believe she might deserve happiness again. But happiness, she knew too well, could be deceiving, because shadows were already creeping into her fragile peace. Michael wasn't who she thought he was. She didn't know about the classified file locked in his desk drawer, the one with her name, her photo, and the bold letters stamped across the top: Witness Protection, Level Red. She didn't know that Michael had been sent to Willow Springs not by chance, but by assignment. His real job wasn't just keeping the streets of the town safe, it was keeping her alive. Elena had testified against a dangerous man, Ethan Cross, her ex-husband's brother. He had been charming on the surface, handsome, successful, but beneath the mask he was something far worse. The night he tried to kill her, Max had saved her life. But Ethan had sworn revenge with his last breath as he was dragged away in handcuffs. "I'll find you, Lena. One day I'll find you. And when I do, I'll finish what I started." The authorities had moved her and Sophie to Willow Springs, under false identities, new names, new lives. And Michael had been embedded into the town months before she arrived, tasked with ensuring her safety when whispers reached the bureau that Ethan Cross had escaped prison. What Michael hadn't expected, what none of them had planned for, was that he would fall for her. Not just duty, not just protection. Love. Real, messy, complicated, beautiful. And now he was trapped between the cold letter of his orders and the warm, steady heartbeat of the woman who didn't even know her life was still under threat. The final fracture came when Sophie, sharp-eyed and curious, stumbled upon a glimpse of Michael's badge, not the sheriff's badge, but the one issued by the Department of Justice. The questions came fast after that. "Who are you really?" Elena whispered one night when she confronted Michael in his small home, her voice trembling, her eyes burning with betrayal. Michael's face was pale, his hand shaking slightly as he took a step toward her. "I never meant to lie to you. Didn't have a choice. You should have told me," she choked out. "You should have trusted me." "I couldn't," he said softly. "Not at first, but then it stopped being an assignment. It became real." Tears slipped from her eyes. Max stood between them, sensing the tension, his growl low and warning. And as the truth spilled from Michael's lips about Ethan, about the escape, about the danger that was still out there, Elena felt her heart break all over again. She had let herself trust. She had let herself feel safe, and it had all been a lie. But before she could retreat into her heartbreak, before she could fully process the betrayal, Michael delivered the final blow, the reason for his urgency. "Ethan isn't just after you." "Elena," he said hoarsely. "He knows where you are. And he's already here, in Willow Springs." The color drained from Elena's face. The past she had tried so hard to outrun had finally caught up with her. And this time, not even Max might be enough to save them. The story of Sophie's confrontation with the bullies and the terrifying German shepherd who sent them running spread through Willow Springs like wildfire. Small towns thrive on gossip, and by Monday morning, everyone had heard a version of the tale. Some painted Sophie as the mysterious new girl with a dangerous dog. Others whispered darker things about Elena, the quiet single mother with too many secrets, but none of them knew the truth, and none of them knew about Michael Grant. Michael had seen it all. From the window of his patrol car, he had witnessed the moment the teenagers turned cruel and the instant Sophie's protector appeared like a living shadow out of the mist. He should have intervened, should have stepped out, flashed his badge, and put an end to it. But something about the girl and the woman she resembled held him frozen. Michael wasn't just the town sheriff. He was an outsider too, sent to Willow Springs for reasons no one knew, carrying secrets heavier than his badge. On the surface, he was calm, charming, polite, but inside he was a man haunted by regrets, failures, and one mission that had brought him here, Elena Carter. That evening, driven by an impulse he didn't fully understand, Michael knocked on the door of Elena's small rented house. Max barked furiously, teeth flashing through the screen door, until Elena pulled him back, her eyes wary as they met Michael's. "Sheriff?" she asked cautiously, brushing a stray lock of dark hair from her face. "Michael," he corrected gently, offering the smallest of smiles. "I just wanted to check on your daughter. I heard about what happened." Elena's body tensed. For a brief moment, Michael saw the flicker of fear in her eyes, but she quickly masked it. She was a woman used to hiding her pain, her past, her true self. "She's fine," Elena said quietly, but her voice betrayed her. It wobbled at the edges. Max, still watchful, pressed himself against her side like a sentry. Michael hesitated, then took a careful step closer. "Look, I know what it's like to feel alone here. I wasn't born in Willow Springs either. People talk. They always do. But if you ever need someone to talk to, I'm here." There was something about his tone, soft, genuine, almost broken, that caught Elena off guard. For the first time in what felt like years, her defenses cracked just slightly. "Thank you," she murmured. "That's kind of you." Their eyes met, and something unspoken passed between them. A fragile thread. A spark of recognition. Two souls bruised by life, colliding in the quiet spaces of a forgotten town. In the days that followed, their paths kept crossing. At the coffee shop, at the local grocery store, once at the farmer's market where Michael helped Sophie pick up spilled apples with a smile that even made the cautious teen relax. It was slow, cautious, like two people circling the idea of something they were both afraid to want. And yet, beneath the surface, tension simmered. Elena found herself laughing at something Michael said one chilly afternoon, the sound foreign to her own ears. She caught herself watching him when he wasn't looking, the way he ran his hand through his hair when he was frustrated, the way his eyes crinkled when he smiled. Sophie noticed too. The way her mother's face softened around him. The way Michael looked at Elena like she wasn't just another case or another tragedy. Sophie also noticed something else. Michael wasn't just the local sheriff. There was something guarded in his gaze, something secret in his silences. And Sophie, wise beyond her years, had learned to trust her instincts. One evening, as the autumn wind howled through the trees, Sophie asked softly, "Mom, do you really know who he is?" Elena paused, her fingers tightening around her tea mug. "He's kind," she whispered. "That's more than I've had in a long time." But doubt lingered in her heart too. because Elena hadn't told Michael everything. She hadn't told him about the man in prison, the one who had promised to find her no matter where she ran. And Michael, standing in his quiet house alone, staring at the classified file bearing Elena's name, hadn't told her the truth either. He wasn't in Willow Springs by accident. Had been sent, and sooner or later, the fragile trust between them would shatter, because Michael knew something no one else did. The attack on Sophie was not random, and danger was coming. When Elena Carter arrived in the small town of Willow Springs, she was a woman running from the wreckage of her life. Her heart was broken, her trust shattered, and her dreams reduced to dust. Her marriage, once a fairy tale, had crumbled when she discovered her husband's affair with her closest friend. The betrayal was deeper than the cheating. It was the deception, the lies, the cold realization that the people she loved most had carved her open without hesitation. She left everything behind. The city, the house she had made into a home, the friends who weren't really friends after all. All she took was her 17-year-old daughter, Sophie, and Max, her loyal German shepherd who had been with her through every dark moment. Max wasn't just a pet, he was family. He had been Elena's rock during the hardest days. She had trained him herself long before her life had unraveled, and somehow Max seemed to sense every rise and fall of her fragile emotions. His eyes held the kind of understanding that words couldn't express. He had saved her life once, a secret no one in Willow Springs knew. She chose Willow Springs because it was quiet, isolated, a place no one would look for them. A place to start over, but small towns had their own poisons. The people were polite but distant. The stares were sharp, the whispers quiet but cutting. And Sophie, sweet, brave Sophie, felt it immediately when she started at her new school. At first, it was the looks, the giggles when she walked past, then the whispers, the rumors. And then it became cruel. A group of local teens board entitled Vicious in the way only teenagers can be made Sophie their target. They mocked her clothes, her quietness, the way she kept to herself. They called her names behind her back and sometimes to her face. The teachers, blind or indifferent, did nothing. Elena noticed the change in Sophie. The way her daughter came home quieter than usual. The way she retreated into herself. The smiles that used to light up her face faded into dull silence, and Elena, still licking the wounds of her own betrayal, felt powerless. But there was one thing Sophie had that no one in Willow Springs understood: Max. Max, who never left her side. Max, who could read her tension before anyone else. Max, who would defend her. Without hesitation. The turning point came one drizzly Friday afternoon. The rain was falling softly, painting the streets in silver. Sophie stayed late for a makeup exam, and as she left the school, she found them waiting, the Bullies, 3 boys and 2 girls, all smirking, all ready to make her their entertainment. Pushed her, laughed. One boy grabbed her backpack and tossed it into a puddle. Another spat cruel words about her mother. What they didn't know was that Max had followed. Somehow, he had slipped out of the house, sensing something was wrong. He found Sophie just as one of the boys shoved her to the ground. Sophie had been taught well. She gave a low whistle barely audible, and Max reacted. The big German shepherd tore across the wet grass, teeth bared, eyes blazing with protective fury. He didn't bite, he didn't maul, but he made it clear with his growls and snarls that Sophie was off limits. The bullies screamed, stumbling over each other to flee. Sophie, trembling, held Max's thick fur as tears spilled down her cheeks. Not just from fear, but from the weight of everything. The loneliness, the bullying, the feeling of never being enough. Max licked her hand softly, whining and concerned. And somewhere from a distance, Michael Grant, the town sheriff, watched the entire scene unfold from the safety of his patrol car. He should have stepped in, But he did single quotes T dot, and that decision would change everything. That night, as Elena held her daughter close and whispered promises of safety, something shifted. In the quiet corners of Willow Springs, the past Elena thought she had escaped was closer than she realized, and Max, the fierce, loyal creature who loved them both, would soon face a threat far more dangerous than teenage cruelty, a threat none of them were ready for.